Welcome to episode 37 of the Bulls Recap Podcast. I'm Joe Cowley of the Chicago Sun-Times. You can obviously find me in the sports section of the Chicago Sun-Times. You can find me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it these days, at @JCowleyHoops. Kind of a quiet follow lately. Been a lot of Legion baseball stuff from my son's team and very little Bulls stuff because we are in the dog days of the NBA season finally. After Summer League, things kind of calmed down, especially this year. You know, obviously with the restricted free agents, and we're kind of all waiting on the whole Josh Giddy and Kuminga and who's going to blink first. So that's really about it. The NBA in August, for the month of August, finally decides, hey, we cannot compete with the NFL camps and baseball trade deadline, playoffs heating up. We will take a step back. This is that month. Doesn't mean we are done. So the other day we were, the boys and I played basketball with some of the guys at Lifetime Fitness in Minneapolis here. One of the conversations that came up was coaches. We're, barbershop coach talking about coaches. And it got me to thinking there's still a lot of, I think, negativity around Billy Donovan, Bulls coach Billy Donovan, where he resides in the hierarchy of current NBA coaches. Obviously, this is current NBA coaches. So Pop, Tibbs, Malone, guys like that currently aren't working. Those are all top 10 guys that would push Billy Donovan down. My point being, when you take into consideration this Bulls organization, which is not a great franchise to coach for, that is the history. I reported, I want to say it was about 7-8 years ago, and it's been confirmed to me. Rick Carlisle, who's president of the NBA Coaches Association, was telling guys that were looking at Bulls vacancies, whether it was before whether it was when Fred was first fired and they felt like, Jim was just going to be an interim, Jim Boylan, or after Jim was fired. It's not a great place to go to. And there's a big reason why. When you look at Jerry Reinsdorf-owned teams, the totem pole is etched in stone. It does not change. It is ownership, front office. You could argue players, and then the coach. We saw that with Phil Jackson, with Jerry Krause. Everyone that's watched The Last Dance for the 800th time saw how that ended. Phil Jackson, elite coach, went on to do more elite things. Doesn't matter. The hierarchy is the hierarchy. We saw that with Tibbs, Garpax, the Cold War of egos. We saw that on the baseball side of things. Hell, we saw that Hawk Harrelson. He's the GM. Who does he fire? Well, Tony La Russa. We saw that with the egomaniac that's Kenny Williams and Ozzie Guillen. It wasn't the GM that went. It was, it was Guillen that was traded. This is the organization. This is how Jerry Reinsdorf sees it. The coach, no matter how good he is or right he is, whether it's a disagreement, will never jump the executive/general manager. Won't happen, hasn't happened. That's just facts. So when you're operating in that space, it is not a good job. It is not a good franchise to work for if you're a coach. With that said, the other part too, that the reason I put Billy Donovan in the top 10, and I'll give we'll go through the list. The other reason I put him in the top 10, who's Billy Donovan had to coach? What all-stars he had? Okay, let's look at the one team he was given. The 2021 or 21-22 team. Lonzo Ball gets hurt. Before he gets hurt, they're a first-place team. And I know fans hate to hear that because I don't know how long they would have lasted in that spot, but they were a first-place team. They weren't going to be a championship team. I think they would have got out of the first round. I think they could have gotten by that Milwaukee team at the time. So Zach LaVine played his best basketball. His best all-around basketball was played under Billy Donovan. Forget the scoring, the empty calories stuff. I think his best win share was under Billy Donovan, 7.1. That was under Billy Donovan. DeMar DeRozan reestablishes himself in the MVP talk under Billy Donovan. Vooch has been Vooch. I'd say there's probably no change in his game one way or the other. Alex Caruso became NBA all-defensive. He was always a great defensive player, but when it came to the Bulls, put up his best offensive numbers, became an offensive threat, especially from three-point range, and was NBA all-defensive back-to-back years, including a first team under Billy Donovan. Let's keep going. Kobe White, verge of an all-star under Billy Donovan. Ayo Dosunmu, verge of becoming a really good two-way player under Billy Donovan. If you want to criticize Modest, I've talked about on this podcast about how he's handled Modest Buchelis and his rookie campaign. Didn't just hand him the keys to the car, said you got to earn it, kid. Tough love. And he usually is tougher on the younger guys than the vets. That's kind of always been a criticism of him, that the vets kind of, not that they're on holiday or it's a country club, but they have a little easier than the younger guys. The younger guys are the ones that Billy's going to, put the New York wrath on, and they're going to hear the New York accent and some F-bombs and that Irish temper come out of them. The vets are usually going to get more of, hey, let's go watch film and I'll show you what I'm talking about. There's been some tough love. I think he tries some things with Zach and stuff like that, but is what it is. But so you could say, well, what about Lauri Markkanen? He had Lauri for the 1 year, and Lauri was checked out. And then Lauri was traded to Cleveland, played okay, but again, hit rock bottom. Then he was traded to Utah. And I think Lauri will even tell you, I decided to become an adult. I decided, is this my job or not? And I became an adult in Utah, and that's when he had the breakout season. I don't think he had anything. I don't care who the coach was that year. He was checked out of the Bulls organization. He didn't trust them. He didn't trust the front office. He didn't trust ownership. He was checked out. Pat Williams. People want to bring up Pat Williams. Why doesn't he develop Patrick Williams? I don't know if anyone could develop Patrick Williams. He may have to go the Lauri Markkanen route and hit rock bottom and say, is this what I want to do with my career? Is this what I want to be? Just a kind of middling guy who got paid, got the $90 million, and I'm good. I put my time in, I'm good. That could happen. That may very well be the fabric of Pat Williams. We don't know that. But, I don't think that's a Billy Donovan thing, that Patrick Williams has been getting every opportunity to play the game that fits his body and hasn't done it. Sorry, I can't blame that, Pat. But then you continue to go down the list, the bench guys. He's shown he can coach and have a top 10 defense. What I really liked this last year is he's shown that he can coach to the personnel instead of jamming that square peg in a round hole and saying, this is my philosophy and you're going to play to it. He said, hey, I'm going to go back to what I loved coaching when I was coming up with Rick Pitino. We are going to defend you or try to defend you at a high level, but most importantly, we're going to run. And that's what he did with the offense. The defense still obviously has to come back to where it was a couple of years ago under him, but you need the personnel to obviously do that too. So the idea that this extension that he just got, he got months ago, but was made official. Sun-Times reported it months ago. And that it isn't deserved. It's like, Bulls fans, who do you think you are? Who do you think this organization is? This is a crap organization to coach for. Sorry, it is. And you have a guy who checks his ego at the door, is great with the front office, great with ownership, great with fans. For the most part, players leave here feeling really good about the relationship they had with Billy Donovan. Not all of them. Maybe Zach's not, But shoot, even Patrick Beverley. I remember Patrick Beverley, he was here for a week, and he was like, Billy Donovan, he knows he's got some shit. That's how P. Bev described it. He can coach. He's got some shit. So, so look, I understand the fan base thinks that they somehow deserve better or the organization should have a better coach. You're not in a position to do that. It's not a great place to coach. It just isn't. So here's the guys I rank above Billy Donovan. And you can debate it. You can do whatever you want. You get your own podcast and have your own list. But number one, Eric Spoelstra. I think Spoelstra is the best coach in the NBA. I've thought that for a long time. I remember that when the D Rose teams was facing the Spoelstra LeBron team. And people thought it was just Spoelstra just rolling out the ball. And to coach those kind of egos, that's Phil Jackson like, because that you had to deal with a lot. Phil always had the condo all done for him. He just had to throw some furniture in it. The condo was set up. It was nice. It was a penthouse. Say what you want about Phil Jackson. He knew how to go into the perfect condo, the perfect situation. I don't know if that makes him a great X and O's coach. That makes him a great psychologist, let's say. So Spoelstra had to play psychologist with that team. But then when the Heatles dried up, this dude was still grabbing any talent they had and squeezing the most out of it. There's no reason that some of those Jimmy Butler teams got as far as they did. That's just Spoelstra coaching his ass off. And you want to see the difference between what a number one coach looks like and Billy Donovan at 10? Go watch the tape of that play-in game, and you'll see how Spoelstra – just watch the first 5 minutes. That's all you need. You'll see how Spoelstra took every flaw and weakness that the Bulls had and Billy Donovan had and exposed them in the first 5 to 10 minutes to set the tone of that game and run away with it. Outstanding job. Number 2, I was not sold on this guy for a while, but I got to admit, Rick Carlisle can coach his ass off. I didn't want to give into it. I thought, he had the Dirk, and the Dirk did a lot of good things for him, and then he had the Luka for a bit. But he's shown me since he's gone to Indy, he can coach. And guys buy in. There's a culture there. He can coach. This playoffs was the final thing. I always wanted to keep him around 7-ish, 8-ish. He's number 2. Mark Daigneault, not just because he's the NBA champion coach. He took over Billy Donovan's program. Billy raved about him. Smart, gets it, and he has formed an identity with a very talented group, but this is one of the youngest NBA championship teams of all time. That takes coaching. There's a reason young teams don't win an NBA title. It's hard. And kudos to him. I thought he did an outstanding job. I thought he's done a great job getting Chet and getting all those guys to buy in. Chet Holmgren and obviously Shea Gill. And just I think he's done a great job. And he's got unbelievable personnel. It's an unbelievable organization. But at the same time, you have to get those young guys to buy in, believe. The real coaching job for him is going to be this upcoming year. Can he repeat? Because now the hunter has become the hunted. We'll see how they react. 4, I like this dude, Ime Udoka. Obviously off the court, some issues. Boston, let's not dwell on it, but the X's and O's. You talk about putting an identity in a team, a tough guy identity in a team. I mean, when you saw what Houston was a couple of years ago before he got there, they were just a young, talented, undisciplined, kind of roll the ball out type team. Not now. I think he established that identity in Boston, and this next guy benefited from it. But I think this dude can coach his ass off too, and that's Joe Mazzulla. We'll get to him in a second. But Ime, I don't know, man. His teams, they just physical you, and they just you feel them, and there's an identity. I'm anxious to see what it looks like with KD there now, what he can do with that with a real proven superstar. And he had some in Boston, but this is going to be interesting because he does have some young guys that are on the verge of stardom or have opened up the door to stardom. Can they kind of kick that door in and put their feet up in the house? Joe Mazzulla, at first I was like, this dude, something's not right about him. And now I'm like, something's not right about him, and I love it. He's got some crazy in him. And he definitely has he's analytics driven to a certain extent, but he also there's a certain amount of toughness he likes. When he talks about players wanting to taste the blood on the court and smell blood and taste blood. Supposedly, dude, if it got in a boxing ring with any other coach in the NBA, would knock their ass out. That's the rumor. Like him, like his mentality. I think they fall in love with the 3 a bit too much, but that's the direction they're going. They've embraced it. what'll be interesting is we'll find out what kind of coach he is now. Get back to me at this time next August, and we'll see if Joe's still on this list, because Tatum's not going to be there. Porzingis has been traded. Holiday's been traded. It's really going to be a much different team. Can his culture withstand that? A new ownership group that's trying to shed money and get out of the apron and do that kind of stuff. That's where it gets interesting. Number 6, Ty Lue. The thing I like about Ty Lue, he seems to just be really connected with his players. They seem to want to win for him. And that's rare in the NBA. Usually it's for the team, it's for themselves, get that money, get that contract for family. They, especially, superstar players, they seem to really embrace Ty Lue as a coach, buy into what he's teaching, preaching. He's great with the media. I got no complaints with him. Solid 6. I know this guy's, you're going to say, why is he not higher? Stevie Kerr, Stevie Latte. I still don't know if Steve Kerr is a product of an unbelievable bench of coaches around him, specifically Ron Adams, who is considered one of the best assistants, not only in the last 5 to 10 years, but of maybe in a very, very long time. And he's always had really good assistants. I don't know if it's Steve or surrounding himself with the right people and the right team. The luster's kind of worn off of him as his team has aged and the rest of the league has gotten bigger and gone back to big boy basketball, and he's tried to cram that death lineup and a small lineup down throats. That's been exposed the last couple of years. If he can do something significant if they can stay healthy and do something significant this season, maybe I'll bump him up a little more, but I'm just not a big Steve Kerr guy. I think I don't know if he's, people forget Steve Kerr almost took the Knicks job. And if Steve Kerr would have taken the Knicks job, the dominoes were falling. Fred Hoiberg would have been the Golden State coach. Could Fred Hoiberg's whole story have been written different? Could he have been given these great assistants around him instead of the backstabbing assistants he was given with the Bulls that were looking to put a knife in his back? Jim Boylan. And could this be his legacy? Could this be Fred Hoiberg's legacy right now that Steve Kerr has? It's an interesting question. It's a what if that we'll never know the answer of, but it's interesting. Number 8, Jason Kidd. To me, he's a guy that he's kind of like jack of all trades, a master of none from the coaching standpoint. I think he's good with players. I think he's good with X's and O's. I think he's good with the media. I think he's good with relationships with front office. I don't know if he's great. He's good. And there's high expectations. Sorry, when Kyrie gets back and you have AD, if he can stay healthy, the new face of the league in the next 5 years, Cooper Flagg, we're going to see what Jason Kidd's made of. So for right now, we'll put him at number 8. Number 9, like this dude. There's something about him I just like. I don't know if it's just dealing with him from a media standpoint. Jamal Mosley, Orlando Magic. And this is a huge year for him because now he's OKC from 2 years ago now. Your young guys are now expected to grow up, and they brought an adult in the room in the Bain trade. I don't obviously think they have the talent at OKC, but I will say this. They have an identity, and it is a physical one. You know when you're playing Orlando, get the ice out. Whether it's a tub or a bag, get ready to put some ice on the body. So I like coaches that you know what you're getting from an identity standpoint. He's established that. He's got some really good young players. We'll see where he goes. Now we get into that 10 range. Guys that just fell out of it. Chris Finch, he's had a lot of talent. Got to the Western Conference Finals once. Verge, we'll see. Nick Nurse, mad scientist a couple years ago. Nick Nurse, lackluster. Guess what? Now you're in Philly, and you've got headaches, and you've got real big coaching problems that you have to navigate, and it didn't look good last year. So, and then JB Bickerstaff, he would have been higher, but you got to the playoffs. I understand you got hurt. You had hurt players. You were the number 1 seed, and you were an afterthought. So, I'm sorry, Detroit, JB Bickerstaff. I was thinking of Atkinson. JB Bickerstaff, on the verge, got a good young team, and so we'll see what the Detroit turns into. Kenny Atkinson's the other one with Cleveland. Here's the thing about Atkinson. I've talked about this before. There's some people that think he's Jim Boylan as far as just an operator, but better at the X's and O's. Again, number 1 seed, and you became an afterthought. So those are the 4 that are in that territory. Bickerstaff with Detroit, Finch, Minnesota, Nick Nurse, Philly, and then obviously Atkinson. Reason I put Billy Donovan ahead of those 4. OKC, Billy had some dudes, and they got close. Who's been his dudes here? And until I see what he can turn Modest into, and if Modest takes a big jump and Modest feels like he's on the verge of all-star like Kobe is, and what he's done with Josh Giddy the last, month and a half of the season, we'll see. So point being, I know he gets criticized a lot. I know people weren't happy about the extension. Maybe they were more pissed about the front office extension than the coaching extension with Billy Donovan. But look, he's a top 10 coach in a organization that is not a top 10, top 15, top 20 destination place for coaches. I mean, if you went around and polled coaches, the reputation of the Bulls, while it's gotten better under Arturas Karnisovas because is showing at least some continuity and doesn't maybe have the ego that some previous regimes had with the Bulls, front office regimes. It's just not a great job. So Bulls fans need to keep that in mind and keep that in check. So there's our barbershop talk about coaches. So let's go to Cowley Island. It's funny because today we're just about to hit August. NBA camps do not open up for almost 2 months, a little less than 2 months. And the panic in the streets over this Josh Giddy contract is a lot to do about nothing. As someone with the Bulls told me a couple weeks ago, I wrote it last week in the Sun-Times, it's a negotiation. And when you're in a negotiation and there are millions and millions and millions of dollars at stake, and you are trying to work in those margins as tightly as you can, whether they should be doing that or not, that's just how the Bulls operate, unless it's Patrick Williams and they're handing out contracts left and right, or Javon Carter and you're giving him a player option. But that's how they're operating this year. Welcome to the reality of the restricted free agent market. So I would tell everybody, just relax. Let it play out. The Bulls aren't stressed about it. Giddey in his camp, he wants to be a Bull. He wants to stay in the organization. He likes what he saw. Worst case scenario, he says, I'm betting on myself, and I'll sign the $11 million little contract you're going to make me play for this year. And then it goes one of 2 ways. They can still renegotiate an extension, or they say, thanks for playing. We'll see you later. We're going in a different direction. And the Caruso trade was for naught. So, I mean, that's the end game of it. But is Josh Giddy the difference between the Bulls being a championship team and being a play-in team right now? No, he hasn't shown that. He had 2 good months, 15 really good games. And they were felt. They weren't like just calorie stuffing. There's a lot of times where you look Josh Giddy when he was at OKC, and you'd be like, yeah, really good numbers. It's great on your fantasy team, but really what's he doing as far as winning, losing, that kind of stuff. So relax. It's okay. It's the dog days. It's August. Let it play out. Both sides want to get it done. Both sides are significant amount apart, but relax. All right, let's go to the list. 26 draft class. These dudes have been playing this summer. Whether it's they're playing in their colleges that they're going to be attending and open gyms, whether it's FIBA, got a kid playing FIBA the last couple summers. So this is the new list right now of the top draft prospects. If you want to start keeping your eyes on certain guys, number 5, we'll go 5-1. Suspenseful. 5, Dame Sarr. He'll be attending Duke. Left the Italian league, said, sorry, Barcelona, I'm out. Pissed some people off there. They didn't want him going. But this is the new college landscape with NIL. If he could get paid more money to go to Duke and actually be seen firsthand, like a lot of foreign guys are starting to do, he's going to go ahead and do that. Look, I think he's got a 7-some wingspan. He's like 6'8", 6'9". His offense is still kind of raw, but his defensive game and flipping that defense to offense, athlete, get in the court, get out on the break. Keep an eye on Dame Sarr. Mikel Brown, he's going to be going to Louisville. He's a true point guard of this group. The rest of these guys are wings. So that's why, DeBonsa, you can argue, can operate with the ball in his hands a little bit better. But mostly this is a pure point guard. This is Dylan Harper type pure point guard. He'll be going to Louisville. Team USA FIBA, I believe last year, 24. Outstanding job. Kind of put his name out there with the way he performed. He's number 4. Number 3, a last name Bulls fans are very familiar with, Boozer. This is the twin, Cameron. He'll be going to Duke with Dame Sarr. Again, Duke is the destination place for college basketball this year. I don't think it'll be as fun with Knipple and Malawash and obviously Cooper Flagg, but they're going to be damn good. They've got an elite recruiting class, and Dame Sarr and Cameron Boozer are a big reason why the other Boozer twins go in there as well. So number 1 and number 2, people are going to argue this, and I'm going to go back to – so number 2 is A.J. DeBonson. He's going to BYU. BYU spent a lot of money to get this kid NIL. Why is a star like that going to BYU? Because they paid well. So he was number 1, I think, on my 26 draft mock that I did probably mid-season. Then number 1, Darren Peterson's team played AJ's team, beat him, and Peterson was unstoppable. And Peterson played Cameron Boozer's team, beat him, dropped a 30 on them. So Darren Peterson he'll be going to Kansas, is currently number 1 on my way too early summer mock draft. Keep an eye on this kid. Obviously, we still have not even getting into college football yet, but those are the top 5 prospects to keep an eye on as we go through this summer. And these are the dog days. Until then, I got next.